DeAndre Hopkins, back in the news cycle. No, he has not signed with the team, but maybe he's inching closer towards actually doing that. According to the NFL Network, Hopkins is slated to fly to Nashville on Sunday to visit with the Titans. Hopkins and head coach Mike Vrabel were together in Houston. Now Vrabel's team gets the first visit with Hopkins, who, of course, became a free agent just a couple weeks ago when he was officially released. So D-Hop visiting with a team in the AFC South, the Tennessee Titans. And I got to be honest, guys, I first saw this and I go, man, that actually kind of makes sense to me, right? Tennessee's desperate for a receiver. They're not going to be bad, like on purpose. They're not trying to tank. We might not look at them like this great team, but when Ryan Tannehill was healthy, they were 7-3 a year ago, and Vrabel seemingly always gets the most out of that roster. This, to me, would make a lot of sense. They have the cap space. They need a number one wide receiver. D-Hop knows the coach. It wouldn't shock me if they work something out and Hopkins chooses Tennessee, because it doesn't really sound like the Texans are all that interested so far in DeAndre Hopkins.
He would be immediately the best wide receiver in what is the worst wide receiver room in football. I mean, that is an atrocity. The fact that it's easier to throw the football than ever, I think the Titans took that a little bit too serious and just don't have anybody of note as a wide receiver in that wide receiver room.
It's a worse wide receiver room than the Texans?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because the Texans' best receiver right now is a guy the Titans said wasn't good enough to be on their team.
Yeah, but he'd still be the best guy on their team if he was over there.
He did have more receiving yards than anybody else in Tennessee a season ago, I suppose.
Yeah. And then you just look at the investment in some of the other spots and, like, who the guys are that, like, part of it you're betting on, like, a third-round pick and a second-round pick playing well, but, like, it's a bunch of nobodies in Tennessee. It's the worst wide receiver room in football.
Treylon Burks, Nick Westbrook-Akina, and Kyle Phillips. Those are their three starters, according to the Titans ESPN.com depth chart.
Do I have to pick the fake guy or the dead guy?
Two of them are dead. Well, their careers are dead.
I mean, Chris Moore's on their wide receiver depth chart.
There you go. We had a Bobby Trees for Chris Moore trade this offseason then, huh? Yeah, I mean, they need help on the outside. I agree with what both of y'all said. I mean, Tennessee being interested makes a ton of sense. Bobby Trees was their leading receiver last year with 527 yards. Their leading returning receiver was Treylon Burks, the first-round rookie from a year ago who only had 444 yards, and a lot of people thought that he underwhelmed in his first season in the NFL. So, I mean, they made one of the dumbest trades in recent NFL history last offseason with getting rid of A.J. Brown to Philadelphia, and you could argue that's the move that cost their old GM his job. They definitely need wide receiver help, and like we've said with the Texans, fellas, if the Titans have the best offer, that's where DeAndre Hopkins is going to play. Are they the biggest contenders in the league? No, absolutely not. Is Ryan Tannehill the best quarterback in the league? No, absolutely not. But if the money's right, then, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is going to end up in Tennessee.
This is the most notable connection that Hopkins has made with any sort of team to this point. Like, yes, it was mentioned that he talked to the Texans, and, yeah, I guess there's been some checking in on other teams, but he hasn't stepped foot in a facility that he's had to take a trip to go to. So it's like, this is the most significant it's gotten for Hopkins in his pursuit of a new team, yeah?
I would think, right? I mean, everything else that's been out there has been, we like the player, but, we can't afford to pay him, or it's like, we're going to look at everyone. Hopkins is obviously a great player, but, we really like the guys we have on our team. Like, that's basically been every other team publicly talking about D-Hop. I mean, D'Amico said something kind of yesterday where he's like, we always look into it, but, no one's talked to me about him yet. Like, okay. I mean, he's taking a visit, which tells you it's serious. Like, he would not be visiting unless they had some sort of talks between, D-Hop's agent and the Tennessee Titans organization about what the framework of a potential contract would look like if they were to get something done.
Yeah, you can't make this up, right? Like, we talk about it all the time. You got players and agents sending out fake reports out there to try to build interest in certain players. We see that in free agency in every sport every single year. You can't make up a visit. You can't be like, he's going to visit Nashville this weekend, and then you've got a Fire Fest situation where it actually never was planned and isn't going to happen at all.
Billy McFarland going to be there? Ja Rule?
So that's not how it works in the NFL. So, yeah, this is the closest thing that we've had to DeAndre Hopkins actually signing with the team. Now, he could take this visit, nothing can happen, right? Either DeAndre Hopkins doesn't like what Tennessee's offering, or Tennessee doesn't like what DeAndre Hopkins has. They meet with him, they make him go through some drills, and they're like, nah, we don't really think you're good enough anymore, so we're not going to give you a deal. Just because this is happening doesn't mean a deal is imminent, but obviously this is close, and this is something that we haven't had yet, and this makes Tennessee the leader in the clubhouse for DeAndre Hopkins' services.
Man, I don't want to see him in a Titans uniform.
He's going down the Andre Johnson route. That's disappointing.
Yeah. It's better than Cleveland, right?
It's better than Cleveland, yes. Because, at least it's not helping out like a now sworn public enemy. But, I hate the Titans.
Yeah.
I guess what Andre did would feel worse because he went to the Colts first, then the Titans, so he was just making stops in the division. But I don't know. To go from the Cardinals and playing with JJ, that was like, man, this is kind of depressing seeing them still together when they both should still be on the Texans. And now he's going to leave Arizona, and he's going to go back to a team in your division, and he's going to a team that you could argue the Texans have a chance to be better than this year, and now he's going to help them. That's frustrating.
Yeah. If Hopkins goes to Nashville, Cody, I'm going to assume he's going to Indianapolis within the next couple of years. He'll just go the opposite path.
So
of
he's doing it
Andre.
in reverse.
Yeah. But he's
Pretty good
going to end up. Yeah, he's going to end up playing for both teams before his career's all said and done.
Pretty good assumption.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Oh, man. Vrabel sure loves him some ex-Texans players, huh?
Cunningham.
Man, I got a list here. Would you like me to go down the list of ex-Texans that Mike Vrabel has run through Tennessee in the recent years?
Well, Vrabel was so good as a defensive coordinator here in Houston, so it makes sense that he'd try to replicate that.
Mecole Pruitt, Ben Jones, David Quessenberry, Deontay Foreman, Jadeveon Clowney, Dylan Cole, Zach Cunningham, Randy Bullock, Kendall Lamb, Chris Conley, Lonnie Johnson, Xavier Suafilo, Dontre Hilliard, Chris Moore's currently on the roster. Bobby King used to be the defensive line coach or linebackers coach here. He's defensive line coach in Indianapolis. And Anthony Midget used to be secondary assistant coach, and he's the secondary coach.
Anthony what?
Anthony Midget.
Are you allowed to call him that?
That's his name. So look at the ex-Texans there. Because when I think picking off of a good tree, I think picking off the Texans
Okay,
tree.
I thought Mike Vrabel was a good coach. Now I'm going to have to reconsider.
Well, now we know why John Robinson got fired.
Yeah.
Vrabel's like, I know the guys, but they don't have to be on my team.
I get, obviously teams copying the Patriots hasn't worked, but I get trying because they've been the most successful NFL franchise over the last 25 years. Trying to copy the Texans is just the dumbest thing ever. You should be fired. Anyone who's associated with those types of decisions, bringing in 12 to 15 former Texans, and how many of those guys actually made an impact for Tennessee? One or two max? And that's a fireable offense. That's a jailable offense right there.
That's why John Robinson doesn't have a job anymore. And he's going to say, well, Vrabel wanted him. It's like, yeah, bud, but you signed him.
Yeah. I get wanting the Oilers history, but yeah, the Texans history, what are we doing?
Well, that's another thing with him going to the Titans. D-Hop's going to wear those throwback jerseys this year if he signs there. That's going to be disappointing to watch.
There have been so many different Hopkins and Oilers jersey photoshops for Texans fans or Houston football fans that want them to have the Oilers.
Well, you're
back in
getting
the
your
day.
wish, just not how you thought you'd get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't have to Photoshop anymore. You already have the picture saved.
It's like, what is it? The monkey paw, careful what you wish for, like a finger curls on it. I
Yeah.
want Hopkins in an Oilers uniform. It's like, well, you eventually got it in 2023 when he played for the Titans.
Against the Texans.
Against the
'Cause
Texans.
that's when the Titans are probably wearing the uniforms.
Damn it.
Hey everyone, big thanks for watching this clip from our radio show, and thank you for making the Wheelhouse the most viewed Houston sports show on YouTube. If you like our show, then make sure you subscribe to my channel for daily clips from the show. And of course, you can listen to all 4 hours of the Wheelhouse each and every day on ESPN 97.5 FM or 92.5 FM from 3 to 7 every afternoon.